G'day, this is Captainoob, and this is a TAQ-56, which we'll be referring to as a Scar L for the rest of the video, because that's what it is. Just a cheap, discounted Scar L made for Call of Duty to avoid licensing or copyright issues, and that's what it is, but it's close enough so we know what it is. And like I said, this thing is a ported weapon from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2022. Not to be confused with the version that was from the Ultimate Scar family mod, as it is known now, which were released very close. I'm not going to have any comments on this because I wish to stay out of modders drama, but it is rather interesting that these mods were released so close together. Interesting, right? Anyways, so this thing has custom sounds and animations and a little bit of customization. In my opinion, much inferior to the Warfighters version because there's not a lot of stuff you can do. This thing is perpetually a Scar L. You can't turn it into a Sniper variant or a Scar H, which is a big no-no. If you're going to have a Scar, make it the 7.62 version, so strike one. No, I'm kidding, but it is unfortunate that we can't make this thing fire a heavier cartridge as it is. Right now we're doing 90 damage, we can't improve the receiver, that's all we can do there. The barrel is standard now, we can change that to a shorter 12-inch or a longer 17.5-inch. That'll actually give us a bunch more extra range and slightly better accuracy, so it'll be better in VATS over a longer distance, and we get to hold on to our damage for a little bit longer over range, which is nice. And you'll find that the stocks are basically the same as what you'd get out of your Call of Duty games, and they have these generic descriptions like provides increased stability and control at the cost of speed. Like running speed, is this like a stock made of lead that'll just slow my entire running speed down? Who even knows? And right now we can't do anything with the magazines. I have to assume that these are all pending modifications that'll be changed and sort of adjusted as this mod gets updated. But this mod has been out for a while now and there's been 0 updates thus far, so maybe there's going to be a big one around the corner. Now, you can chuck on some sights onto this, which have all the generically named Call of Duty sights, and there's a couple of things that I notice here. This one looks like a generic ACOG. Now, you can't make this thing semi-auto, so we won't be able to use this as a sniping weapon, and having this thing with a scope, I think, is a little bit too much, especially when it's a 6x optic. But there's one down here that caught my eye, the X10 Angel 40. It looks like an EOTech. It has a little bit of a cross for the reticule on the holographic sight itself, so I feel like that's a pretty good variant of reflex sight to use. And right now we've got a standard muzzle. You can chuck on some suppressors and some compensators and some muzzle brakes to control the recoil, and funnily enough the suppressors don't reduce your range at all, which is nice. We get that extra bit of damage from Ace Operator. Let's chuck on the Echoless 80 because it looks the least tacky, I think. Like, that's way too short for a suppressor, right? Anyways, moving on. Legendary effect is there if you need it. We will not be using that. And this is the main thing that, well, that used to separate this thing from Warfighter's variant, which I'm pretty sure Warfighter has a grenade launcher now. This one uses the old system where you have to get a little aid item in your inventory and hit that on a hotkey. It'll switch between firing bullets and firing the grenades on the Scar. This is seen a little bit primitive by a couple of mod users, as what I've read online, but I think this works out pretty well. It's using the KISS theory. Just keep it simple and you don't have to worry about it breaking or crashing or anything. Hellscream 40mm, there we go. You can get the grenades and I'll show you how to get those in a second. And right now we've got a damage slider because there's no receivers. I think this was added to stop this thing feeling like a Nerf gun. We're going to bump this up to, let's go plus 40%. Because plus 20%, I think the handmade gets around 150-ish damage, so we'll have it just a little bit over the handmade because it's a more advanced rifle. It's from Call of Duty. If it was like a Warfighter's variant, I think we'll be up in the maybe plus 100% damage or maybe 150, but let's show a little bit of restraint here. And you can change the grip on these, which for better recoil control. Whether they actually do anything, I'm not sure. There's no gun nut requirement which would say the one is superior over the other, so I guess that's just flavor. And there we go, there's our TAQ-56. Let's discuss getting this thing and its grenades. Okay, in order to get the TAQ-56, the Scar L, what you need to do is go onto your chemistry station, find TAQ-56 listed there, and it'll open up a subfolder. This right here is how you toggle between the underbarrel grenade launcher and just firing the normal bullets, and you can craft the grenades using 1 acid, 1 adhesive, 3 copper, 2 fertilizer, and 4 steel, as well as Demolition Expert rank 1. It also has this custom asset ammo box, which looks like it's from Call of Duty. You enter one of them, you get 30 grenades for very little resources. So you can get a lot of grenades very, very quickly, provided you've got the resources to get it, which I think the main limiting factor here would be copper, because you can just get Brahmin to shit out fertilizer at your settlement at any time. Steel is everywhere. Adhesive, you can farm that. Acid might be also limiting there, but easy grenades, easy to find. I'm going to craft like 1 billion of these. Alright, so we're outside of the Immersive Gunners Plaza once again, and this is the Scar L in first person. Note the grenade launcher on the bottom of this, and before we get to shooting anyone, there's a little bit of weirdness in the third person camera when you're using this thing, because well, it does that. As soon as you get moving, and if you are moving when you're aiming down sights, there's no problems at all. As soon as you stop moving though, the camera just goes inside your head. I don't know if that's just intended thing, or if that's just a camera mod that the mod author had on and that sort of spilled over to this particular weapon, but not a fan of that at all. I've also made an unsuppressed version with a 6x scope because I can. Worth noting that if you do have the version with a grenade launcher, you want to switch over to the grenade launcher using the hotkey thing. If you've got more than one of these in your inventory, it will not work. So we're going to make a little bit of use out of our Loud and Proud one just to start off with. We're going to drop it and get into more of this when we... Yeah, we'll get into the grenades when we get ourselves into a little bit more trouble. And that's like the first time ever I've started without sneaking. But we've got some decent range here. I've upped the damage on this thing to be about plus 100%, which I think is a nice compromise. So, like, if I was sneaking, then it'd feel too overpowered now, wouldn't it? Let's get myself into a position that is a little bit more advantageous for me. I see a mosquito there. Gotta take him out before he eats me. And the insects have been cleared out. And we'll keep using this just until we get into a really bad position. The recoil on this is a little bit less predictable than the Warfighter variant was. And you'll see that most of the time just with a little bit of extra horizontal recoil. That was a plasma grenade that dropped there. I was wondering what that was. Took ages to explode, but we're cutting through these guys pretty easily right now, like really easily, one-shotting gunner privates like that. And keep in mind, this thing's only doing what, 226 damage, which is quite a lot, yes, but we're hitting these guys in the torso for 255. I don't know, I'm scratching my head on how exactly we're getting that much damage. Is there some sort of armor penetration factor that was added to offset the low damage that would be standard out of this thing? Don't really know. Anyways, I think you get the idea for this Loud and Proud version. You go bye-bye now, and we'll switch over to our suppressed one, which should probably be a little bit more grounded, I think. But if I see gunners down there, and I'm tempted to use the grenade launcher just to bring the rain on them, I don't mind it. I'm gonna do it. I think you get the idea with the suppressed version. I could bother sneaking right now, but I think it'd be rather wasted. Let's use the grenade launcher. So I've pressed 1. The hotkey has been switched over. We just hit that guy for 1600 damage. These grenades, they don't mess around. Nope. No way. And just keep in mind that you can create 30 of these things. Just 30 of them. That's a caravan guard. I don't know why you're here. I think one of them just shot her in the head because her head's crippled. But you don't really have to put a lot of effort into your aiming when you've got the underbarrel grenade launcher. Just hit near them, Demolition Expert, and all of the related perks. They'll do the rest. Even if they're on that fire escape, they're next to a wall, it's pretty much game over. It's the I win button in gun form. It's brilliant. Let's switch back over to bullets now. I gotta wonder if you can get a quick reload on this thing by switching over from... Yeah, you can. It just reloads the magazine for you if you switch over from the grenade. So, you know, if you want to reload in a pinch, just double tap your switch over button and then you've got things ready to go. And I can't see that gunner, so I guess we'll just let splash damage handle it. And now, for the fun bit, the actual door breach where I'm going to send a grenade in. I'm going to see if I can kill all three in a single shot. I should be able to do that, to be honest. It's open. We'll stand back a bit. Very classy way to finish there, I think. Alrighty, so, yep. Scar with a grenade launcher. Good fun. Balanced, yep. Only real issue is this thing just doesn't have a lot of customization, or as much customization as the Warfighter variant. So, you know, I'm sort of leaning towards that one being better, but which is not to say that this thing isn't that great at all. I do think, however, the classic holstered weapons sets this thing a little bit too high, so they might have to change what this thing looks like in its little preview transform thing. Whether they can do that easily, I'm not really sure, but just a little bit too high, I think. You're gonna maybe hit a door frame walking through that, I think. Can you believe it? There's nothing attacking Swan today. He's out there by himself, so let's get some cheap sneak criticals on his face, and then let's VATS him. I haven't really seen what this thing's like in VATS. It's actually quite efficient. Obviously, the reflex / holographic sight giving us a little bit of an edge on that. So we're hitting him for 1800 there. 4.4 with the sneak multipliers, another 2 times for the head. How do we get from 181 to 1800? That's interesting. I feel like there's something going on behind the scenes that is not apparently there. Yeah, there must be something going on, because I'm getting so much more damage than I could ever thought. And just as a reminder, I am playing on very hard difficulty, so we should be getting half of the damage that we're receiving from this thing. So I don't know what's going on here, but is it suspicious? I'll let you decide. Alright, time to kill the lobster man. We gotta wait until he pops up his head. Well, there he is. And if we can get easy, cheap sneak criticals. Bad time to reload. Maybe should have switched to the grenade launcher and back. Okay, now it's on. Let's switch over to the grenade launcher, and we're gonna VATS him with it. Let's see how we do here. You can get a lot of grenades off with this thing, so yeah, do it. See how we go. This fight could be over very quickly if we keep filling its face with 40 mics. Yeah. I love underbarrel grenade launchers in video games, you know. There was this one, the original Killzone on PS2, the ISA rifles had grenade launchers on them. I thought that was so cool. There's like an alternate fire button for most of the guns in that game. The Helgas had an underbarrel shotgun, which I think was really cool. But yeah, maybe we could get some of those things in Fallout 4 for weapon mods. I feel like that would be pretty awesome. But Lobsterman goes down, a little bit of double tapping just to make sure the job is done. And I think I'm going to leave things there. I think you get the point. That there was the Scar Owl / TAQ-56, but Winter's version, not Warfighter's Workshop. I can see both have their appeal. They're both pretty well made mods, but in terms of which one I like better, I mean, the grenade launcher here works so well. I think I'd have to go back and test the Ultimate Scar family just to see how that grenade works, the underbarrel grenade launcher works, just to see if that one is executed better. It is unfortunate that this thing uses an old M203 system and thus is sort of stuck using this older system where you have to use a aid item to switch over, but that's just how it goes. I don't think it's too much of an issue, but if you want to carry multiple of these things, then you'll have problems switching over to the grenade launcher with that. So I'm going to leave things there. do enjoy this weapon mod, I'm going to recommend it. Link will be in the description if you're interested. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a Xbox variant out there as well. I looked the other day, I was looking for Warfighters thing on an Xbox version, but I only found Winter's one, so you can get that one instead. Thank you very much for watching, guys.